The AP poll, it's out. And good on the AP poll. I've got some criticisms here, but good on the AP poll because it looks more and more like the commissioner's poll every week. And aside from Miami, that little snafu having them number one last week, that's a good thing. Generally a good thing. So Michigan's number 25, huh? Yesterday, no sooner had they disposed of Washington before our boy Taylor Lewan texted me, we may be back. You may be. You're back in the AP poll there. Not dead quite yet, 5-2. So we'll see. Arizona State's 24. Big win for them against Texas Tech. Illinois, Texas, and Cincinnati, 23, 22, 21. Look, I know that you have to judge these teams relatively. Texas was horrific looking yesterday, but they won. They won. I'll get to that game in a little while. They won. I want to say but. Okay, that means Texas shouldn't be in the top 10 or 15. 22 is probably still right for them. But trust me, when I first saw Texas was ranked 22, I could have sworn that I was going to lobby for teams to be over them. I got one. What about Navy? I got to be honest with you. I'm not doing the commissioner's poll until Thursday. I got to give a very, very close look at Navy. Navy's looking good, man. And Navy, I know comparison-wise, like we're going to do the strength of schedule thing, and I know that their best win, even some of these teams with losses, they still have a better win than Navy's best win. I get all that, but I think the AP had them like 28th or 29th. I'm going to give a solid look at Navy. What about LSU dropping 10 spots to number 20? Is that fair? Is that right? Probably not if you believe in Vanderbilt's ranking. However, I don't think the AP believes in Vanderbilt's ranking. So I believe that LSU gets punished a little bit more for losing to Vanderbilt than they would have been had they lost to Notre Dame or Miami or someone like that. Louisville's 19. USF is 18. Tennessee dropped 6 spots to 17. Virginia is 16. Virginia is kind of quiet right now. They are in prime position to go to the ACC championship game. I just want everyone to realize that. Missouri's at 15, and here's a team I want to talk about. Texas Tech is at 14th. They dropped 7 spots because they took their backup quarterback on the road and lost to Arizona State yesterday. Now, I don't have a problem with them dropping. I want you to pay attention to what this could mean. A lot of times what we find is as we get later and later in the season, the AP voter thinking is pretty much in line with the playoff committee thinking. If that tracks this year, then you're starting to see an indication of what the Big 12 is in their mind. Because Texas Tech has been the best team in the Big 12. Okay, they lose a game yesterday. Very competitive on the road. It's a one-possession game. And they dropped 7 spots. So they're now behind Oklahoma. They're behind Vanderbilt. They're behind Miami. They're behind a lot of these teams. And is that the perception of the Big 12? That's just a little question to keep in mind as we keep on going. Because the other thing to look at, so Oklahoma's 13th. Think about Notre Dame and BYU, 12 and 11, respectively. Notre Dame's a 2-loss team, and they're right behind Brigham Young. Brigham Young's undefeated. They're up 4 spots. So that's basically the message. You got to be undefeated in the Big 12 right now to sniff the top 10. And otherwise, we're going to have 2 lost power teams right there on your heels. I think that's the perception of the Big 12. Vandy is a top 10 team for the first time since 1941. And by the way, who could forget that 41 Vandy team? Vandy is doing things they have quite literally not done in the color television era. World War I was the number one topic on this. World War II was the number one topic on this show the last time Vanderbilt was ranked in the top 10. Hey, wait just a second. Appreciate you guys watching. Most of you are subscribed. If you're not, please do so. It's free. It helps us keep the show free, and that's how we do college football year-round. All right, back to the video. Unbelievable. The show was only a couple of years old at that point. And they play Missouri this weekend. Miami is down 7 spots. They're at number 9. Ole Miss is 8. Georgia Tech is 7. Georgia Tech's up 5 spots to 7. And Oregon is 6. Now, here's my question. Miami and Oregon. Oregon ahead of Miami. Justified or not? I'm not asking who you would favor on a neutral field. That's for the JP poll. Do we think that Oregon's resume is better than Miami's? Because I look at Oregon's resume, you've got the Penn State win, which I'm not devaluing. I've told you, I'm not devaluing that. So that win still carries maximum value to me. I don't blame Oregon for Penn State suffering the effects of the Oregon loss. I credit Oregon for that. So I'm actually very optimistic. I'm very pro Oregon Penn State win. However, I've also watched Miami beat Notre Dame and beat USF. So if you believe Notre Dame's the 12th best team in the country and USF's the 18th best team in the country, don't they have a better resume than Oregon? I don't know. It's not a huge separation. I just found that a little puzzling. Georgia is 5. Alabama is 4. A&M is 3. And then Indiana and Ohio State are 2 and 1. The top 6 right now are all SEC Big Ten. So I know what the immediate reaction there is. Favoritism. Who belongs in there over them? If you're using blind resume comparative analysis. So forget about the conference a team is in. Use blind resume. Who really belongs in there over those teams? I also want to remind you, going back to the playoff for just a second, remember this year, the playoff seeding is different. This year, they're just taking the top 4 teams and giving them the buys. It doesn't matter if you were a conference champion or not. So, for instance, last year, if they had this year's playoff rules last year, the top 4 seeds would have all been SEC and Big Ten. It would have been, I can't remember what order, but it would have been Ohio State, Oregon, and it would have been Georgia, Texas. Those would have been the top 4 teams. Those teams would have gotten the first round buys if this year's rules were applied to last year. I mention that because start to pay attention to this too. As we get closer to the playoff and the rankings start coming out, we could be headed for a situation where if the SEC and the Big Ten have this death grip on the top 6, we're virtually guaranteed that they're going to get the first round buys kind of no matter how Conference Championship Saturday plays out. It's just who gets which bye. I know that doesn't sound fun, and it may not even happen, but that's something to keep an eye on. 5 SEC teams in the top 10 is the final talking point. So we appreciate Flex Power for generating that. I would now generate a little bit of a question, because I know what the comments are going to say. Sometimes I can see around the corner on this stuff. The comments are going to say, the voters are inflating the SEC so that they can tout how many ranked wins these SEC teams have. Like I heard someone say that about the Alabama resume. That stat's floating around. Alabama's beaten 4 ranked teams in a row, whatever. And some people are saying, yeah, that's just because the AP inflates the SEC teams to pad the resumes. Well, get specific. Like, which team are we looking at here that shouldn't be ranked? Which ones are we looking at that have gotten the SEC bump that are not supposed to be ranked? By the way, 25, 24, 23, Texas is the only SEC team that's even in the 21 to 25 range. All the rest of them are ranked a lot higher than that even. So, I don't know. If that's your criticism, that's okay, but be specific about it.